and Lin is an orphan who lost his mother in a car accident and his father due to a gambling debt. While celebrating his 18th birthday, an old man breaks into his apartment and takes him to the spiritual world, giving him the war god system. The powerful elder then decides to explain the situation to him. Lin possesses the rare spiritual eyes, giving him the chance to practice cultivation in the top magic academy of the spiritual world. Furthermore, the system can only be seen by him, making it somewhat of a cheat skill. Lin quickly understands the situation and accepts the chance. The elderly man then disappears after giving him a recommendation later. He later notices a teleportation portal in front of him. He tries to touch the portal but ends up absorbing the energy. A beautiful girl suddenly jumps out of the portal and steps on him. She introduces herself as Xiaolan of Vermilion Bird Sect and thanks him for saving her. They enter the academy and notice all students gathering up for an aptitude test. That test determines their cultivation level and assigns class from 1 to 100 when they touch a mirror called Lustrous Divine Monolith. Xiaolan leaves for her turn and is assigned to Class 1, the elite class. During his turn, Lin first hands his recommendation letter to the instructor Miss Yuying, who notices that his recommendation letter is from Lu, a legendary immortal master, who reached a level above gods. The numerology instructor Ming Yuan starts to claim that Lin will bring miracles to the spiritual world, only to increase Lin's hopes, as he never cultivated before. As soon as he touches the mirror, the instructor reveals he became a living legend. He has no cultivation level at all, the worst student in history who ever got assigned to Class 1. Dumbstruck, Lin returns to his place filled with disappointment while feeling the hatred of all students toward him. He gets criticized by all students for becoming a Class 1 student with a cultivation level lower than theirs. A student challenges him to fight, but Xiaolan takes him away before he gets into some fights. In his dormitory room, he checks the War God system and starts to complete the system's quest. The quest requires him to do a certain amount of push-ups. He completes the quests one by one and levels up to the 3rd stage of cultivation. He asks the system for the next quest, and gets shocked when the system reveals he needs to do 10 billion push-ups. Lin thinks this quest is impossible to complete, and goes out to ask Xiaolan for some advice. While heading to her room, a man suddenly ambushes him and tries to punch him multiple times. But he easily dodges his attack and takes advantage of the darkness to punch him from behind. He recognizes that the man is Liu Dabao, who spoke against him joining the Class 1 earlier. Dabao uses a talisman to attack him, but Xiaolan interrupts the fight and points her sword at his throat. They look around and somehow spot the real Dabao behind them, who's yelling and challenging Lin outside the dormitory building. But before they act, the imposter jumps forward to attack Xiaolan, but Lin steps in front of her and blocks it. Xiaolan takes advantage and attacks the imposter, but he manages to flee away. The next day, Lin notices everyone hates him because he's weak, and so he decides to work hard in class to prove the people who look down on him wrong. But reality hits him during the lecture. He doesn't understand their teaching methods, and most teachers don't even show up in their human form. He further becomes more disappointed when Miss Yuying teaches everyone how to play a mobile game and lazes off. But the most absurd of all is instructor Minjuan, who makes them fall asleep for the whole lecture so they can analyze their dream later. Lin wakes up and gets instructed by Miss Yuying to spar with the class monitor, Xuan Yuanchen. Xiaolan doesn't approve this battle as Lin's cultivation level is way lower when compared to Cheng, and decides to attack him with fireballs, but Cheng doesn't even need to try hard. He simply blocks the attacks and uses a spirit formation to restrain her. Lin notices Xiaolan at a disadvantage and interrupts their battle. He unleashes a strange power that makes him get the power of one realm higher than he currently has. Lin tries to send a flying punch, but his opponent dodges and binds him with some spiritual chains and tries to use the formation pressure to defeat Lin. Cheng's attack fails, because Lin missed his previous punch on purpose to hit the formation's weak spot. All of this resulted in Lin increasing his cultivation level to the 4th stage. Lin immediately asks for 130 spiritual stones to complete his next system's quest to reach the 5th stage. Cheng gives him 5,000 spirit stones instead, as they're used like money in the spiritual world. On the next day, the system informs Lin about the upcoming Battle for Freedom, a survival competition. The system considers it a special quest, which he cannot reject. Furthermore, to complete it, he must reach the top 50. Or he will be transformed into a girl for 1 year. He focuses on improving his cultivation by absorbing spiritual stones, reaching the 7th stage, but he knows that he's still weak to reach a top 50 position. He quickly starts to desperately request the system for other quests and ways to improve. and the system tells him that he can increase his cultivation if he beats a cultivator of the 9th stage or above. He quickly remembers that Xiaolin is above the 9th stage and tries to ask her to let him win in multiple fights. But in the end, he ends up asking for other things, like the essence of Mountain Pill to help cultivate a powerful skill called Mountain Quacking Fist. He further asks her if she can provide him with information about his opponents in the competition. He then attempts to ask Cheng to fight him and take it easy, but he only agrees to tell him his weakness. Without any reliable option, Lin finally musters up his courage and asks Xiaolin to let him sneak attack her, but she misinterprets it as a love confession. In the next day, he tries to sneak attack Xiaolin with a spiritual formation, but he accidentally touches her in the wrong place, making her run away in anger. While running, she throws at him the essence of Mountain Pills and a copy of the information he asked for before. After returning, Lin eats a pill meant to cleanse his body from impurities. He just didn't know that cleansing his body means he will have to suffer from diarrhea for the next 13 days. In the restroom, Lin starts to think about how to solve his problem. The competition will start in 10 days, but he must use the restroom for the next 13 days. On the next day, Cheng comes to ask Lin why he missed class, but misunderstands that he is suffering from an internal demon. Cheng starts to chant the Heart Sutra, which speeds up Lin's cleansing progress. Lin then requests Cheng to continue chanting the sutra for the next few days to speed up the process. 10 days later, and Lin is forced to join the competition with 3% remaining to finish his body cleanse. One of the eldest elders explains rules, which are straightforward. The more opponents you defeat, the higher the rank you get. The elder also casts a golden light spell to protect the students. The spell will break once a student takes too much damage. After the spell is broken, the students will be teleported back to safety. Lin and Dabao get teleported to the same location, which scares Dabao out, as he cannot deal with Lin, who has just reached the 7th cultivation stage. Lin approaches Dabao and breaks his sword, just to ask the scared Dabao if he has some toilet paper, who simply answers no. Lin then heads out to complete his body cleansing process and hides on bushes, but a group spots him while he's on his last 1%. He buys time by convincing them to fight each other, and he finally finishes his massive dump. He completes the quest, reaches the 8th stage, and gets a new skill, Mountain Quacking Fist. He immediately tests out his new skill on the 4 guys and sends them out of the competition. Later he meets Dabao, who takes him to his hideout. There he meets a group of almost 300 students requesting to be gently eliminated from the competition, because they don't want to get seriously injured, making Lin raise 40,000 spots in the rankings. Later a cultivator ambushes him, but a girl saves him. Lin recognizes that the girl is Liu Qianhuan, nicknamed the #1 god of killing. Qianhuan challenges him to a game, in which she will ask 100 questions about the mortal world. If he answers correctly, he will become a member of her Liu club, otherwise, she will chop his head off. After answering all the questions, they go to Black Rock Peak to complete Lin's quest and increase his cultivation level. Upon arriving there, he starts cultivating a martial skill named Earth Lotus Divine Art by absorbing the Earth's energy. The system further informs him he will be able to beat a spirit-nurturing cultivator after cultivating this skill. Lin suddenly spots a man who introduces himself as Chen Chen, telling him that he's been waiting for him, but soon disappears. Lin and Qianhuan end up spending the whole night playing mobile games. The sun rises and Qianhuan asks Lin if they're friends. He says yes, but she accuses him of lying to her the whole time. She asks why he's been using his power for the whole time after reaching the Black Rock Peak. He tries to explain to her that he's been cultivating since he got there, but she doesn't believe him and starts to gather energy to attack him. Suddenly, the system forces Lin to use his new skill on her. Qianhuan summons her sword and strikes Lin, but stops after noticing his cultivation improved overnight. She then asks about his secret of quick learning. Lin gives up and tries to tell her the truth about the system, but she still doesn't believe it. He then shows her the essence of Mountain Pill, telling her she will have diarrhea if she eats it. She decides to eat it to check if he's telling the truth or not. Her body starts reacting, as it starts to absorb the pill, but Lin uses his new martial arts skill to relieve her from diarrhea. Before leaving, Qianhuan gives him her headband, which can be used as a protection against spirit-nurturing level cultivators. Lin ignores the guy and looks for Xiaolin and interrupts her fight with Wei Jai and his group. Xiaolin reveals Wei Jai is the person who tried to ambush Lin by disguising himself as Dabao. He's also the one who put a bounty on him. Lin uses his new skill to defeat everyone in the group with 1 punch each. As a result, his cultivation improves to the 9th stage. Meanwhile, his friend Cheng and Su Qianyan fight against Wang Xuanzhen, who's the winner of the previous year's competition, and at the same time, threatens to kill all the disciples if Chen Chen doesn't fight him. Cheng requests Lin and all students to unite and help him to deploy spiritual formation to defeat Wang Xuanzhen. But both get beaten as Wang starts to use lightning skills all over the place. One of the lightning strikes is heading to Lin, but Chen Chen appears. He stops the attack with one finger and disappears after asking Lin if he has already learned that skill. The system informs Lin that he needs to defeat Wang to reach the top 50. Lin quickly eliminates Xiaolan and Dabian from the competition, as he doesn't want them to get hurt, and quickly calls Wang out to fight. Wang uses his golden dragon spear and attacks with lightning. Lin first uses his mountain quacking fist technique to attack him, but it has no effect. Lin then mimics Chen Chen's move, the heavenly splitting finger, and quickly defeats Wang. Lin passes out and wakes up 10 days later. He quickly notices that everyone is treating him differently. They all now admire him and consider him the strongest person, instead of seeing him as an easy target. 1 month later, Lin, Xiaolan, and Cheng are declared as divine messengers of the spiritual world. They will carry out the mission of sealing the demonic pagoda and exterminating the demon king from the mortal world. Lin and his group depart for their mission into the mortal world. They reach the mortal world and meet Tian Lingling, a member of the Alliance of Cultivation. She tells them she will provide them assistance in their mission, and takes them to the headquarters inside her aircraft, where they end up meeting the president of the Alliance of Cultivation, Yuan. One of the members, Tian Shigu, informs Lin and his group that they have already carried out the mission. They have already captured the demon god, and are only fighting against the disciples of the demon cult. Therefore, the trio isn't needed, not only because they're late, but also because they're weak. Suddenly an alarm starts to ring, and everyone is informed that Blood Clan's warriors have also joined forces with demon cult. Tian Shigu once again asks the trio to leave, but Lin challenges him to fight. If he wins, they will allow the trio to join the battle. Tian Lingling attacks him instead of her father, Tian Shigu, and starts beating Lin around. After getting hit several times, Lin starts to manage to block her attacks. He then uses his ultimate speed to charge toward Tian Shigu, and uses the illusion technique Crybaby, making Tian Shigu cry. Yuan gets in front of Tian Shigu to block Lin's punch and challenges him to a fight. Yuan attacks him with her power, which forces Lin to save Tian Lingling from the attack. He then uses his Divine Almighty technique to suppress her attack, defeating her. Yuan finally admits her defeat, and allows the trio to help by ordering Tian Lingling and Lin to investigate the enemy. They teleport to the ghost village, and Lingling quickly warns Lin to be careful of the poisonous mist. Lin uses his divine eyes to see through the mist and discovers that some enemies are hiding there. He then detoxifies the mist's poisonous effect, enters the mist alone, and quickly gets out. While inside, he made all of the hiding enemies cry with his technique. But the two cannot beat them, so he requests the headquarters for reinforcements. Xiaolan and Cheng join them, but they suddenly lose contact with the headquarters. The group ends up noticing that the enemies have stopped crying. Suddenly the enemies attack them. One of the blood gods grabs Lin and flies away. She chokes him and then throws him from the sky. Xiaolan tries to save him while he falls, but a demon god strikes Lin with lightning. Tian Lingling and Cheng hold their fights with the demon god, and Xiaolan tries to rush toward the collapsed Lin. But a blood god attacks her with sound waves and once again flies away with Lin, and tries to bite his neck. But the unconscious Lin uses his power and manages to escape from her. He starts to fall from the air, until a portal suddenly opens and mysterious hands from the portal take him away. Lin wakes up inside the portal, and the system suggests he should use his ring given by Qian Huan. He uses the ring, and Qian Huan suddenly appears to save him and bring him out of the portal. She then showcases her power by quickly defeating their enemies. Then they all notice a strange feather girl